Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. This is Mystic. Here is part 4 of the story. I do thank you for coming back and listening, or if you're your first time listening, welcome. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let's get into it. One night, I thought I heard something, the door rattling. I was a day away from being 4 months. In his eyes, he did not know still what I was gonna do with the pregnancy. I kept saying I didn't know. But in my mind, I just got to the point where I said I'm keeping my baby. But I didn't want to tell him that at that time. And I heard a door rattling. And I went to the door. I could see the back door just going in and out. And I just started recording. And I heard his voice. He had jumped over my balcony. He kicked in my back door. And that's when I was attacked. I was beat very violently. 4 months pregnant. And I don't know what it is about him. If me being 4 months, it just seemed like the trigger. He broke that door down, came in, he attacked me. And I turned every which way I could. I was in the middle of an open floor. My son was sleeping in the next room. All I know is that he's going to take me out. I mean, he had made threats on if I left him, he would take me out. But, I mean, I didn't take it too seriously. But at that point, I knew he was not joking. And I could tell it was not him. I could tell he was intoxicated. His whole face was distorted. Didn't even look like a human. And I was being stomped so bad to where I was trying to cover my stomach up. My arm got stomped all the way down to my fingertips, everything. And I just surrendered at that point. I just kept saying, God, I can't fight him no more. I can't fight him no more. At least I know that if I'm out of here, me and my kids will be in the same space, and he won't be where he can get to us anymore. That was my thought. And once I surrendered, I seen like it was almost like a force came and snatched him backwards. And I was trying to get up. While I was trying to get up, I couldn't really move. He grabbed me by my hair and he dragged me into my bedroom where my son was sleeping. And my son normally slept a certain type of way because of his breathing, but at that particular moment, he wasn't sleeping that way. And he lifted me up and body slammed me directly on top of my son. And at that time, I just said, oh my gosh, I just knew I crushed my son's chest. And I just kept screaming, get me off of him. Once he got me, I kept saying, get me off of him. It was almost like something came out of him. And he was just like, oh my God, my wife. And I was just sitting there like, huh? Like, what's happening? And I looked over to my side, and my son was sitting up straight at 1 year old, just looking at me, just staring at me, giving me a look like, what are you waiting for, mommy? Do it. And I literally kicked my ex-husband so hard into the closet. He went flying backwards into the closet. I grabbed my car keys. I had nothing on but a nightgown, no shoes. October, winter time. I grabbed my son and I ran outside. During that time, he had done broke every phone I had. He broke my iPhone in half. He broke my other cell phone. I had hit it in half. And he just smashed them up. So I had nothing to call anybody with. I had to just go outside in the car. Once in the car, I just seen him start throwing all my things off the balcony. Like, I was a huge person, sneakerhead. So before he met me, I had a large collection of sneakers and purses. And I just saw all my bags and shoes being thrown off the balcony into the woods. And I was just sitting in the car watching. And I just said, well, he'll tire himself out, I guess. At one point, I thought I didn't see him on the balcony throwing anything out no more. So I thought he had passed out. And I grabbed my son and I ran back in the house because I had a phone hidden behind my couch where my fax machine would be plugged in at. And I tried to plug that phone in so that I could call 911 or call my parents, somebody. All I know is get the phone plugged in. I didn't care who I called. I was trying to call somebody. He came out of nowhere and he snatched the phone cord and broke it in half with his bare hands. That was one of the most terrifying moments for me because I just said, "Oh my God, I'm back in this house. I got out, and how I'm back in here, he is going to take us out." He tried to grab me. I snatched my son and I jetted out the door again. And I sat in that car and I just started rocking my son back to sleep. And when I looked down, blood was just running down my leg. I was starting to miscarry. I finally saw the lights get cut off about 4 that morning. But I stayed awake and I just watched, and I didn't move out that car until I saw the sun come up. And I snuck back in there while he was asleep, passed out. I took a quick shower to get the blood off. Get my son dressed really quick. And I literally grabbed whatever I could grab really quick and jetted back out the door. First place I thought to run was to Sprint to see if they could fix my phone. It's funny now that I think about, like, why would I go to Sprint and not anywhere else? But my parents was at work. They both was at work. So it was really nowhere I could go. When I got to Sprint, they saw how bad my face was, all bloody and bruised. And I literally got to their phone. I said, "I need to use your phone right away." And I called my mom and I was like, "Please come get me because you gotta take me to the hospital right now. I need to go to the hospital right now." She was like, "Y'all are fighting?" And I'm like, "This is not the type of fight." I was attacked. I was brutally attacked. And I said, "I'm not this baby. I'm losing this baby." She got off work and she came to my apartment. She told me to meet her back at my apartment, but I didn't go in. I seen her pull up, and then I handed her my son, and then I ran inside to get some stuff out of there that I needed, and he was still sitting outside in his car. Her and him are outside arguing. His mom is on the phone. She's arguing with his mom about how my face look, how bad I look, and if my dad see me, it would be a real bad situation. And I'm sitting there looking at her like, "Hey, you can argue with them later. I need to get to the hospital. I have been bleeding over 24 hours at this point." I was not taken to the hospital. I was taken to a clinic. I don't know why I was not taken to a hospital. I was taken to a clinic. They did an ultrasound as soon as I got to the clinic, and my baby didn't have a heartbeat. So they told me, they was like, "Your baby doesn't have a heartbeat." And I said, "I know." I had to wait 8 hours to be seen. Another 8 hours on top of the 24 hours I already had been bleeding out. But I was seen last because I was at a clinic that other people was getting babies removed that was alive, and my baby wasn't alive. So I wasn't. It was like, you can go to a hospital and get your baby removed. We're going to put you last. And they literally put me last. When I woke up, I was shaking so bad. They was like, "Oh, we're so glad you woke up because we thought you were going to bleed out. You were hemorrhaging." And I just looked around, and I'm just in the back with a whole bunch of different females, and I'm just hearing I'm just like, what is happening? I'm out of it. And they said, "Do you want to know what the sex of your baby was?" I said, "No." They said it was a girl. And I just broke down crying. On the way back home, my mom was asking me questions, and I was just like, "Please just take me to my apartment. I just want to go home." Once I was taken back home, I told her to please take my son and let me try to gather my things together. My door was still kind of, you could tell where he had kicked it in. I fixed it the best I could to put something there so that he couldn't get back in. But I was there by myself for a couple of days. While I was there by myself, I noticed that my right arm and hand was going numb and hurting, and it was so bruised and beaten. I asked my dad, could he take me to the hospital, and they did x-rays, and MRIs on my hand, and I had to have emergency surgery from the tip of my arm all the way down to my hands from how bad he stomped me. He actually went with me and my dad to have the surgery. My dad didn't even know the person. He didn't even know. That's how much of a narcissist this person is. Like, you could beat somebody so bad and sit in the same waiting room with their father, knowing you the one who caused all this damage, and you sitting there like nothing happened, while I'm in the back getting 9 hours of surgery on my arm and hand. Right after that, my dad just kept asking, are you going to be there with her to make sure, because she can't do anything. I was in a cast from the tip of my arm all the way to my fingertips. And he just kept saying, yeah, I'm not going to leave her. He left, which I didn't care. I was happy he left. But I really couldn't do nothing for myself. But I noticed that I didn't hear no phone calls from nobody the next day. And that was unlike my parents. They would blow my phone up all the time. And I mean, I was in and out. So I was like, okay, I'll get this rest. It was no rest. I called my parents and I was checking on my son. And I was like, well, can y'all come over here and bring me something to eat? I'm hungry and I need to take a shower. And they asked me, was he there? And I said, no, he left. And they said, well, we're actually about to pull into your apartment complex now. Y'all don't just come over here unannounced. Okay, but okay. They walked in the door, hand me my food, and my dad just was like, I gotta tell you something. Kobe's been hit by a car and he's dead, and that was my dog. And I just broke down. It was almost like if you told me something happened to my son. So I literally lost my baby and my dog within a couple of days. I'm sorry, y'all. I haven't even said this is section number this and this is part number this. It'll be put together. It's gonna be broken up in different parts. I mean, I hope you guys are enjoying the story so far. I mean, it's not for me, for anyone to be like, oh my God, I feel so bad for her. This is to bring awareness. This is to bring awareness to narcissistic abuse. So I hope you guys are enjoying. And if you are finding whatever I'm giving y'all, I'm bearing y'all. I've been in hiding for years, for about 5 years. Nobody has seen me. Nobody has seen my face, for real. I don't even look like the same person that came here. After I found out my dog had passed, that broke me down even more. Like, I was just done. Like, I was so done. I don't know what to do. Like, I was just like, why is everything hitting me like this? Like, this is just too much. Too much. I decided for them to bring my son, because I wanted him with me. But I was still in the cast, and my dad still didn't know at the time that he was the reason why I was in the cast. My ex-husband was the reason why I was in the damn cast. But he kept asking me, he said, I could bring him over there, but is he going to be there with you because you can't handle him by yourself? And I was like, yeah, he'll be here. He has to go to a party for his grandma, and he'll be here. He said he'll be here. He said he was going to come. I didn't care if he came or not, honestly, but I didn't want them to know that. And they dropped my son off. They sat there and they waited with me. They was trying to wait on him to get there, and he was taking forever. And then they were like, well, we'll go ahead and leave. Just let us know if you need us. I said, okay. He wound up walking in the door right after they left. I could say he was intoxicated, extremely intoxicated. And there was a pair of rare Jordans that I had that were like very expensive. And I had been looking for them since I moved out my house. And I'm like, where are these Jordans at? And he walks in with these Jordans on. And I know he never had these shoes. He came to my house with at least 2 pair of shoes, I think. That's it. And I had them Jordans before I met him. So, and I never wore them. I only wore them a couple of times. And I asked him, I said, are those my shoes? And he looked at me and said, yeah. I said, we still. I said, not only do you delete people off this earth, you still. And he looked at me like, and somebody bought me these. I said, ain't nobody buy you them. Because there ain't too many of those were made. Ain't nobody buy you those. I'm not stupid. And I know my shoes. Take my shoes off. Mind you, we don't even wear the same size. His foot is way bigger than mine. I don't even know how he got his foot in that shoe. That started an argument. I already knew what time it was, what was about to happen. Mind you, I'm in the cast from the tip of my arm all the way down to my fingers on my right side, which I'm dominantly right-handed. I got pushed. And when he pushed me, I went sliding down the wall because I couldn't grip onto nothing. And I'm holding my son's hand at the same time. Only thing I knew to do was to call my dad. I called my dad. I told my dad, please get back here because this boy is about to fight me. And I started recording him from the kitchen of him. He started to threaten. He starts calling his cousin who had just dropped him off. Was like, turn back around. This girl trying to fight me. And I'm recording him while I'm standing in the kitchen with my son behind me. I'm like, I'm not trying to fight you. I can't even fight you. I'm in a cast. I can't do nothing to you. But I was recording him the whole time. He didn't even know it. My dad got there, and when my dad walked through the door, he tried to run up to my dad and said, hold on, you know me, you know I wouldn't do that. My dad was like, I don't know you. You put your hands on my child, da, da, da. And they just got into a big, huge fight. I mean, huge fight. They started fighting. He finally saw who that real person was because that real person came out tenfold. Came out. And by the time they dragged him out that house, everybody in my whole apartment building was outside staring at him. It was a big commotion. I was embarrassed. My dad looked back at me, told me to get my stuff, whatever I could, get it together, because you got to get out of here. He's not going to stop until he removes you completely from this earth. And as much as I didn't want to, I was kicking. I was not going back home. I bought a house for a reason. I'm in my own place. No, I'm not leaving. My dad said, I don't care what you're talking about. You going. And I went. It was a bad snowstorm for about 2 days. That was the only thing that kind of kept me there for an extra 2 days. And then next thing I know, 2 men in the truck was coming to get all my stuff and moving me out. And I was crying like a baby. I didn't want to lose my freedom. But what I didn't know was I had already lost my freedom. But I still had to play it cool. Stay tuned. After I was moved out from my apartment, I was very depressed state, but I still had to play it cool with him because at the same time he was still trying to be with me. He didn't want me to divorce him or anything of that nature. He kept saying he wanted his family back, and I knew that I knew he knew where I was, so it wasn't like I mean, after all I had been through hell, all I knew was that he could have came and did what he did, the same thing at my apartment, right where I was at. So I had to play it cool. I had to play it like I had to move in silence again. He was avoiding me serving him for the divorce papers. So I had to trick him into asking him where he was working at and what time he worked. I took it to the sheriff department. I took all the information up to the sheriff department because he wound up telling me, I said, do you want to see me and your son? He was like, yes, I miss y'all. I want to see you so bad. And I'm like, okay. Where you work at? Where you at? What time do you go on lunch? What time is this? What time is that? He didn't know that I was getting that information so that he could be served, because every place that I tried to serve him for the divorce papers, they would say he wasn't living there, even though he was. His family was lying for him. I got that information. I took all that information up to that sheriff. They told me if I found out where he worked, that's all they needed to know. But I got deeper. But I had to play mind games with him to get him deeper. Because I know he wanted me back. And I knew he would tell me anything to get me back. So what I did was got the information. I shared it with the sheriff department. They went and had him served. Oh my goodness. I was every name in the book. I was every name in the book. Every name in the book. When he got served, I embarrassed him. Oh, this. You said you would never leave me. You lied. And I said, yeah, you said you'll never hit me, but you lied too. So we two liars. What you want? He wound up getting arrested on the charge. He wound up getting arrested on the charges that he had when he broke my neck when we were living at my house, because he missed, I guess, a court appearance. He was living with his mom, which was very far away, and they kept calling me, and he was in jail. Calling me from jail, and I was like sneaking answer the phone. I was trying to lay him. I don't know. A part of me was still trying to lay him. A part of me was still trying to. I don't know. Like in my head, I felt like I know he shouldn't be around my child, but I was trying to let my child speak to him because I know he didn't understand really what was happening and what was going on. Like, he go from a 2-parent household to not being in a 2-parent household. I didn't know how that was going to affect him. I didn't want it to affect him, so I did whatever I thought I could to try to help the situation, but I didn't know I was making it worse. But I still had to move in silence. Like, he could not know the type of moves that I was making to get rid of the marriage and get totally away from him to where I could start healing. So I still had to play it cool, even though I was not with him. I played it cool. I would constantly make excuses for him in my head of why he did what he did, which I had to realize that I can't make excuses for somebody doing something. I didn't do that. You did that. But at the same time, I was really fighting for my sanity. Like, I was losing it. I was losing it mentally. I had lost everything that I had worked so hard for. Cars, houses, everything. I mean, I didn't lose them, but I literally gave it all away just to get away. I ended up back where I said I never was coming back to. Everybody that I helped turned their back on me. Me and my son couldn't go to them when they was all running to me. I wasn't dealing with my best friend since high school. Like, we was not talking no more. I was literally secluded and alone. I felt so alone. Like, I wound up having 15 surgeries. 15 surgeries. What really broke me was the first surgery I had when I first got to where I was at my parents' house. I was really close to my brother's then girlfriend, now wife. She was the one that was staying with me. She was the one that helped me with my son and everything throughout all the stuff that was going on. So she asked could she watch him, and something happened, transpired, and me and her got into a big altercation about my son not being taken care of, and she hit me in the eye with a gun. And that's when I really broke. I had to have eye surgery. I had triple back surgery from that incident with her, along with all the other surgeries. I almost lost my eyesight in my eye. I'm sure you guys can tell which eye it is, but I didn't lose my sight. They was able to save it, but I had to have 98 needles in my eye while I was awake for them to save my sight. it broke me to my core that everybody who I helped didn't seem to care nothing about me or my son or whatever I had went through. I couldn't believe it. But that's one thing I had to learn, that whatever I did for other people, I didn't ever actually do it for, I didn't do it so much for anything in return. I just hope that if anything would have ever happened to me in that type of situation, to where I was homeless or I needed somewhere to go with my son, that I would get that help from them. But I was shown multiple times by many different people that I helped that wasn't the case. And that's when I snapped mentally. I felt like I didn't want to be here anymore. I did try to delete myself. My dad came in and stopped me. I don't know how he knew what I was doing and how I was doing it, but he had that intuition to come in and stop me. Literally took me, laid me in the bed, and told me to lay down. And didn't say a word to me about what he had saw me doing. My therapist that I had been seeing through the whole time, I had been going through, I did marriage counseling before we got married. I had a therapist I had been seeing for a while. I mean, me having a psychology degree, like when something ain't right, go get help. I don't see no problem with going to talk to nobody, but I was more one of them people that I wouldn't even open up to nobody. So it took me years to even open up to my therapist. Like she knew nothing. Like she knew nothing. She would see me days that I would actually have been beaten, and I would walk in there and do a session, and she wouldn't even know that I had just been beaten. Because he would normally hit me in places where nobody could see, and I wore a mask so well because he had then brainwashed me that nobody else would believe me, nobody would care about me. It was a lot that he had brainwashed me with, so I didn't feel the need to show or tell anybody. I didn't. I was on my Zoom call with her for our therapy session for the week, and she just saw my arm was wrapped all the way up, but you could see blood marks on my arm. And she asked me, did I try to harm myself? And I just said, yeah. She was like, I know how stubborn you are. Like, just know that I'm self-mandated to report it. You're going to have to go in. I'm not going to force you to go into a hospital or anything, but I want you to go get checked out. And I just asked her what hospital. And she told me. I went there. And they tried to do a hold on me, but I was too smart for that. They wasn't going to hold me. And my dad wasn't going to let that happen anyway, because I knew that what I was breaking from wasn't something that started over. This was a buildup of years of just trauma. Even from a kid, all that stuff had started surfacing up. So they agreed to let me out, but I had to do a 2-week program to where I had to go there every day. And I had to sit in a group with people who had PTSD. And we had to discuss. But I am not a talker. As much as I'm talking on here, I am not a talker. I don't like to talk. This is the only time y'all probably gonna see my face for a while. Other than if I'm doing tarot card readings or something like that, y'all can see my hands. You see what my hands look like. You see what my tattoos look like. You know it's me. But and do know that I'm very spiritual, and know somebody's spiritual team before you mess with my face being shown on this YouTube, because don't do it. But anyway, I had to go to the classes. I wouldn't say nothing. I was very quiet in the class until they started making me speak. Every day they started asking me little questions here and there, and I'll give them little short answers until I just start telling a little bit of my story here and there. Now I'm in here with military vets that have PTSD from seeing stuff that I didn't see. But they were more excited to hear about my story than anything and what I survived. What I survived. And I'm looking at them like, well, what? Y'all survived something that I could never think I could survive. And they looking at me like, no. And every day they wanted me to tell my story more and more. And that's when I started opening up and expressing, because I saw how interested someone was, and to be thankful that I was even sharing what I went through and how much I went through with him, and how much I was beating the surgeries I already had. And I didn't even look like that on the outside. I didn't look like what I went through. Excuse me, I'm sorry. My voice getting a little parched. I didn't look like what I went through. I'll tell you that. I still kept myself up. I wasn't looking no type of way. I may have been broken and beaten down in the inside, but on the outside, you would not have known that I had been through any of that. So they were very shocked, and I was very intrigued that somebody was more intrigued to hear my story than anything, and I just couldn't believe it. My 2 weeks was up. I was done with the program. I was out. I wound up having, my son had to go into having another surgery, and I had to have multiple surgeries after that. And I am a twin flame. I met my twin during this time. When I met my twin, first time I seen him, I said, I know you. He was like, you don't know me. I don't know how I felt like I knew him, but I just knew I knew him. Our relationship went really fast. I was not healed at all. I mean, I had been dating before him a little bit after I left my ex-husband, but I wasn't fully healed. So my relationships wasn't lasting. I didn't realize that all that narcissistic energy that I had been around all my life was starting to be seated inside of me, to where I was being mean and manipulative. I still wasn't really having that much, I was empathetic for people, but it wasn't like I was before. Like, I hadn't built up a barrier around me so thick it was ridiculous. But once I met my twin, everything changed. Like, I felt everything had it was magical. Like, after a while, we was dating, and I was seeing pictures of me, like, just, he would see pictures of me or whatever, and he was like, have you ever noticed that your neck is always kind of, like, twisted in your pictures? And I'm like, no. Nobody else ever picked that up. And I started looking at it, and one day I was picking my son up from school, and I was driving, and my left arm just went completely numb and out, and it dropped, and my arm just dropped, and almost got into an accident. And I had to have an emergency MRI done on my neck, and that's when they told me that my neck was broken. And it was broken from the time that he had body slammed me in that foyer, and my neck went up against the wall like that. And I had to have emergency neck surgery. And that was right when the big C started. So I was going into the hospital right in the middle of that. While I had that surgery, I literally walked into that surgery, walked in, fine, got ready for the surgery. Next thing I felt was excruciating pain. This was another time that I saw myself laying on the ground in the hospital. How am I looking at myself and I'm not in my body? I'm looking at my body on the ground. I could see where my head had been hit in the back. And the way I was laid as if my body was twisted. They didn't lock the recovery bed for that surgery, and I got dropped on the floor when they was moving me over from the surgery part to the recovery bed. And when I felt myself go back into my body, I know it sounds weird, but if you're spiritual, you know what it is. And I was screaming top of my lungs. I was like, please help me. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. Oh my God, my right side. And it wasn't my right side that was injured. Nothing on my right side was hurt at that point. I hadn't healed from all of that. And all I know is they said they was admit me into the hospital. My hip was broken. My arm was torn in 5 different places. Ripped. 5 different places. My hip was broken. My neck. I was in a neck brace, a sling, and I was in a coma for almost 2 months in the hospital. A big hospital at that in Atlanta that nobody wouldn't go up against. Nobody was charged for that. I suffered multiple surgeries after that as well. That's a whole nother story for another day. I will go into that though. But nobody would go. I got out the hospital. I went in there in June. I got out right before my birthday in August. And while I was in there, I was not on the floor that you would normally be on if you had surgery. I was in the heart section, which I was like on the downstairs part of the hospital where I was right on the street where I could see the cars go by all night long. And it just felt like my room was just packed with people. Even though nobody could come visit you because of what was going on in the world at that time. You couldn't have no visitors at the hospital. But I just felt like it was a big presence of people in my room. I didn't know why. By the time I got home, me and my twin kind of separated from each other because he felt like I wasn't going to ever walk again. And they told me I was never going to walk again. But they didn't know who they were dealing with. I'm a healer. I healed myself. And I had a lot of time to lay in the bed and think. I ain't do too much healing right after I left him, my ex-husband. I finally got my divorce in 2018. He dragged it out for a whole year until I had to trick him. I tricked him on that one as well. He called me the day before our last court date, and was like, please don't go. Promise me you're not going to go. And I said, okay, I promise I'm not going to go. Well, he was like, the judge saying they'll throw it out if you don't come and I won't show up. I said, okay. I showed up. Fast, too. And was praying that her even got me out of there before he came. But he didn't show up. We had already started dating someone anyway, so I don't know why he still wanted me. But I was the prize to him. Why would he want to lose me? Once I started healing, I met someone. I was looking for answers in many different ways, but I didn't know why I was being led to somebody who was a psychic. I didn't deal with those. I didn't know nothing about that for real. So I met someone, and she became my sister. It's my soul sister. I told her what was going on with me, and she just started helping me heal from then on out. And she just kept saying, you do not know who you are. And I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, it's something out of the fairy tale books that I used to read. I don't think you know that. That's why you was targeted by your ex-husband. He knew who you were, but you didn't. And I still didn't know what she meant. But one thing I will say, you better know somebody's spiritual team before you start doing rituals and all type of things to people. Because you do not know who you dealing with. And who is that anointed one. I didn't even know I was. But I was heavily protected. Heavily protected. That's when I started diving into my spirituality. That whole incident woke me up, awakened me to who I was. Now I have started a journey to a new life. I'm not with my twin, but I am engaged. I was in hiding for... I left when my son was 1. He's 6 now. My daughter did not make it. My dog didn't make it. But me and my son made it. And I started a journey to a new life. And I had to go in and heal and mentally fight for my sanity and heal. I lost family members that I never thought I would lose. Hurtful. Not in a way of losing them to, what people are losing to people now too. It was just the acts of selfishness on their part. I had to be shown in so many ways that everybody that I care about didn't care for me. They didn't. And I've been on a journey to a new life for the past 5 years. I was in a karmic cycle for 7 years after I married him. I didn't even know what that was. But my life went down. What I would say is that you need to look at that person from when you start dating that person until while y'all dating each other. Your life go up or did it go down? My life started going down, and it went down fast. That's stuff that I look for now when I choose who I'm choosing to date. I was very particular about people that I would date. I was mean to the people that I was dating when I wasn't healed, because I wasn't healed. I wasn't ready yet. You got to heal yourself first. Now I have people coming to me spiritually for mentoring, anything. Never did I think that I would be a spiritual person like I am. Very gifted. Very gifted. I always felt like I didn't belong, but I didn't know why. But now I know why. I'm not meant to belong. I am the chosen one. I am she who knows. And I can say that because I've been through a lot at a young age. And to be where I am right now, everybody had wrote me off. Everybody wrote me off. No, he did not stop with the rituals after I left him. It increased. Because he was just mad that he couldn't have me. But the best thing I could do was to get my life back together. That was the best revenge. I did have a lot of hate in my heart for him at one point. For me losing my child and all type. But I learned the best revenge you can get to a narcissist is to rebuild yourself up and come back 10 times stronger than you was when they met you. And if he was to see me today, he wouldn't even know who I was. He has not seen me in 5 years. I don't talk to him. I don't try to talk to him. I don't care to talk to him. There's nothing we could talk about. Do I know? One thing about this situation that's different is that he started falling in love with a person that he didn't think he could fall in love with, for real. And he opened up to me about things that I would never, ever tell nobody. Because that's just who I am as a person. Where I could go and put him under the jail, I wouldn't do it. I still won't do it. But it's nothing for us to talk about. Not even our child. He does not see my child. He has not tried to see my child. And he won't see my child. Do I hate that he didn't get more time? Yeah. Because he is married. He has 2 kids. I don't know what she's going through. I hope she isn't going through what I went through with him and what all the rest of us went through with him. But at the same time, I can't have sympathy for her either, because I feel like she has been warned about who he is and she ain't walked away from him. But she looking for me. There's no reason for you to look for me, honey. Matter of fact, when you find these YouTube videos, you'll see exactly who you married. You know exactly who I am, and you'll know exactly who your husband is. That person who they've been trying to warn you about all along. But I'm not the one you need to talk to. You need to talk to him. Talk to him why he think it was okay for him to remove a child off this earth that was his, that didn't have a chance. Why he thought it was okay to take me out and my son out at that time, but he didn't get to. I escaped. I escaped something that people don't escape from. I've been in the bed for the past, I don't know how many years. I done seen so many stories of people telling of what they thought that somebody was going through and what happened to them and how they didn't survive the attacks. And I actually survived. That let me know that I have a bigger purpose in life. And what I was destined for, he could not stop. And I felt like I was meant to go through what I went through for a reason. As much as it hurt, as much as every surgery, every cut on my body, I mean, my body is cut up from head to toe. I went through that for a reason, to help other people. It's not just women that go through this. Men go through narcissistic abuse. It's women that are narcissists too. They just don't speak out. If you would like to donate to the channel or following me on Instagram, book a reading. Yes, I do readings. I am a medium. I do readings. I do cord cuttings. I do all different type of things. I have a list of my services listed on my channel, being that I'm just starting this, and but I've been into my spirituality for a long time, for a while now, I'll say. But if you are coming across this and you know somebody in this type of situation, help. They may not know how to ask for help, because I did not know how to ask for help. I was silent. I suffered in silence a lot, but the people that did see it, I would have thought that they would have said something, but they didn't. It didn't hurt nobody but my son and me. But my son, I escaped something that people don't escape from. I've been in the bed for the past, I don't know how many years. I done seen so many stories of people telling of what they thought that somebody was going through and what happened to them and how they didn't survive the attacks. And I actually survived. That let me know that I have a bigger purpose in life. And what I was destined for, he could not stop. And I felt like I was meant to go through what I went through for a reason. As much as it hurt, as much as every surgery, every cut on my body, I mean, my body is cut up from head to toe. I went through that for a reason, to help other people. It's not just women that go through this. Men go through narcissistic abuse. It's women that are narcissists too. They just don't speak out. I do not talk negative about my ex-husband to my son. My son barely remembers him. Being that he is a little older, he is starting to remember what happened that day, and he is starting to ask me harder questions about, like, where's his sister? Why didn't she make it? And I'm just like, huh? How do you know that? Like, where are you getting that from? So it's a lot of things that I really can't hide from him too much right now, and I'm very transparent with him. Because he has a lot of healing he gonna have to do as well. But I am mainly putting out these videos to help. So if you would like to donate to the channel, there will be a link to my PayPal below, Cash App as well, and you can donate. I am looking to get a nonprofit started for abused, for families that's going through this type of abuse that don't feel like they have any help. Because I feel like I didn't have no help. Even though they did snatch me out of the place where I was and say, yo, this is where you're going to be at. This is what you're going to be doing. This is how you're going to do it. No, that wasn't help. I needed mental and emotional, physical. I needed all of the above after everything I had went through. I needed help that you could not think of. And you would never believe that we was turned away by multiple shelters. Even after what we've been through, because they said I couldn't work, I couldn't come. I know what it's like to fight for your sanity after this type of situation, but do know it's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I am that guiding light. I feel like I'm the guiding light oracle. That's why I call myself Glow, guiding light oracle warrior. That's who I am. And I'm here to help. Okay, my loves, that is the end of my story for now. Thank you so much for just being here, supporting me, listening to me. I'm showing you some of the pictures of the last time I was attacked and how badly beaten I was. And then you're going to start seeing some of the pictures of how that's my dog that passed away. Me being in that surgery from that cast and how he hurt my arm. But you will start to see how I did change. In the end pictures is how I am now. So I did rebuild my life. And I do thank you guys so much for listening. Please share and support this video. Please get the word out. Get the word out. Thank you.